Welcome, everybody. Welcome, PI Nation. The Politically Incorrect podcast is on yet again. I am your host, Abaldo Barros. I'm joined by my fellow PI natives, Deshaun Barros.
What's up, everybody?
And Matthew Camara.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show.
How we doing? How you guys doing today?
We are good. Fantastic.
I made some coffee. Deshaun has some coffee, and I made some popcorn. They're enjoying themselves here. Matt looks very Valentine-ish. She's dressed in red. And Deshaun, I thought of you today because I saw a picture of Serena Williams.
Oh, yeah.
She looked mad ugly. And I said, there goes Deshaun's boo thing.
Wait a minute.
Deshaun loves.
Wait a minute. So just for anybody who doesn't know, we had been sitting down in the kitchen one day and we were talking about boo things because everybody was like, when are you going to get married? You know what I'm saying? So I said, you know what? I'm going to get married to a rich girl. And I think Serena Williams would be on the top of my list. But she recently just lost. I can't remember her name. It was a Japanese young lady. What was her name?
I don't remember.
Can't remember her name
yeah,
right
she
now.
did lose.
You know what she loses? You know what else she loses?
What?
She loses a mirror every time she looks into one.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Deshaun.
They're just haters. They're just hating.
Money can't save that one.
They're hating because she is beautiful. That's why she got two beautiful babies. If she wasn't beautiful, she wouldn't have any babies. And they ain't by me though. They ain't by me because if we had babies, they'd be black, dark, man. Oh boy, hers a little lighter.
I don't know. One day we got to do a segment on her kids, on her daughter's name there, Junior.
That's her name, Junior?
Yeah, whatever name is, they named the daughter Junior at the end of her name. I forget what her whole name was, but they put a Junior at the end.
Interesting.
So welcome everybody. So we're here today.
What's up?
Today we're going to talk about what I call the WPOAT, the worst president of all time, the WPOAT.
Well, a lot of people would hate you for saying that because in the culture, at least in the black culture, it's like he was a god. Everybody loves him.
Well, too bad.
He was a savior there.
Get over it. If you're looking for a place to bow down to the altar of the WPOAT, you came to the wrong place. The WPOAT's name is Barack Obama.
Barack
Yes.
Hussein Obama.
Mr. Obama. Married to Michelle Obama. So I thought of this topic because I saw something interesting on a Twitter feed just the other day. It was actually an article by Time magazine, surprisingly, because it's a left-wing article.
Yeah, left-wing.
And Time had a poll or whatever on him that graded him as one of the worst presidents since World War One, was it?
Yeah,
World War II?
One of the world wars, yeah.
And he was one of the worst presidents, and I was really shocked to see that there. So we're gonna dig into Barack Obama's legacy, and dig into what we think and why we think he is the WPOAT, the worst president of all time. You know what I'm saying? So that's it, the WPOAT, led by Barack Obama. What do you think, Matt?
So probably, I'm gonna guess that this is probably from World War II on. Because if it's World War I, then usually the most hated guy is Herbert Hoover, President Hoover, because of his lack of willingness to help people during the Great Depression. But that's a whole subject for another day, another time. He's actually not as bad as what people say he is. But so I'm going to guess it's after World War II. So one of the things that I've noticed about Barack Obama, and you'll notice on the internet, there's plenty of memes and people will post about Barack Obama is he's the president that never had a scandal.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, he's the president he's probably the first president that's ever had the media behind him so much that it would make it seem like he's never had a scandal. So it's a myth. So I actually have a list with me of scandals under the Obama administration.
Yep.
So I'll go through them and then we'll just talk about them. So let's get over that myth. So if you're on my Facebook and you're trying to tell me that Obama... Now, here's the thing. I'm sure Obama did some things that were great. But to sit there and lie and say that he's never had a scandal, that's just a flat-out myth. So first thing was... I think one of the mistakes that he made was, first of all, he hired Hillary Clinton to be his Secretary of State. So I don't know if he was bullied into it or what the reasoning was, but that was one of his major mistakes. So Obviously, he didn't have a spine. He hired Hillary Clinton, who's, I mean, that woman is just corrupt and vile. So why would you want her leading your foreign policy?
Oh boy.
So this is one of his first scandals. Is obviously the State Department. Hillary Clinton decides to set up a private email server, which is illegal.
Yep.
Working for the federal government, there's reasons why we have secure emails because
Right.
there are other nations that are looking to get our secrets. And this woman lied about using a private server. Then she lied about their emails that she said claimed that there were no classified emails, and to this day they're still finding classified emails.
She was lying, America.
So it was a crime. And in fact, there was a war veteran who made the same mistake and served time in jail.
Right.
And that was one email.
Right.
So this woman got away, and I know what you think of. Oh well, it wasn't Obama, but it was under his watch. And what you have to remember with the presidency, Harry Truman said it best, that the buck stops here. That whatever happens in his administration, he's responsible for it, and he's overseeing it. So Obama should have made a point to make sure that she wasn't doing stuff like this. And then when it came out, he should have at least reprimanded her or did something.
And he said he knew nothing about those the email account that she had.
Just like he knew nothing about the spying that was
So
going on, right?
if Hillary hadn't deleted those emails, who knows? We might have found an email exchange between her and Barack. You never know.
That's quite possible
just saying.
because if she wasn't guilty, she wouldn't have broke those servers. She smashed them or had her associates smash them so that she couldn't be blamed for it. And then she had them wiped, data wiped.
Professionally bleached, wiped.
I'm not talking about going on your Windows and clicking uninstall. No, she went to a professional to do it. Obviously, he couldn't do it too good because the FBI is still finding them emails. But it just proves Gate. So what do you guys think about that? That's the first scandal.
I mean, it just goes to show you that the media was so heavily involved in the Obama administration and covering up so many different things that mass America wouldn't even look at this as a scandal. And that's just because of the amount of media that has just been. Because when you thought of the media as far as the mainstream media in America during the Obama administration, they were all on his side.
I remember
Yeah.
one. You can actually go on YouTube and watch this. This reporter gets up talking to President Obama, and he uses the word enchanted. He's like mesmerized by the president. It's like, listen, your job isn't to be his best friend. Your job is to report the news, whether it's good or bad. Give him praise when praise is due, but report the bad stuff that he shouldn't be doing. But that didn't happen under the Obama administration. It was praise from day one until the day he got out of office.
Until he walked out of office.
Yeah.
And I think that was only just because to try to assimilate the idea that since he was the first black president which they ran on when he first got into
He's
office.
I just
He's
thought of
half
something,
black,
right?
too.
Because everybody, we'll go back to the scandals, but I just thought of something. Everybody right now is upset. The media is upset about immigration, right?
Yeah.
Yet Obama, under his administration, has deported more people than any previous president. Has deported more people than what the Trump administration has done. He was the one that was taking children away from their parents and locking them in those cages. The same photographs that the media was trying to push and say that was the Trump administration. Where was the media then?
Right.
Where was the outcry then?
Yeah.
In fact, he got the name the Porter in Chief. But where was the outcry? Where was Hollywood? Where was the left wing media? They were all protecting him. They didn't care. But all of a sudden they care.
Well, it's because even with this administration we have now, I think because Trump is such a businessman and he's so business savvy that when he talks about the economy growing by 3%, what do you say, 3%? He was running on that. It grew more than that. unexpectedly. So I don't think the mainstream media is used to things actually getting done. So I think they're scared of this.
So here's those immigration numbers right here. Just 282,242 immigrants have been deported so far since the fiscal year 2019, whereas the Obama administration made 409,849 deportations in the fiscal year of 2012. That's double.
So, in my opinion, because
Wow.
I believe in deportation.
Where'd you get these numbers from?
They're on the businessinsider.com. It's an article that compared the two presidents and how many deportations they've had.
Man,
I mean, I'm not going to knock him for that because I believe illegals, or especially
Right.
those that break the law, should be deported.
The
So
point
he
is
was
to keep
doing
it fair, yeah.
He was doing a good thing. The point is, yeah, our current president, who hasn't even reached anywhere near Obama's numbers, is getting treated so differently
Yeah.
than what Obama was.
I don't mind if you criticize Trump. Just keep the same energy with Obama as well, because he
Exactly.
did the same thing. That's all I ask.
equal representation, right? And
Right.
that's what the media is supposed to be doing. But unfortunately, we don't have a media or mainstream media in this country that's actually reporting news in many cases. They're reporting biased information, or should I say, propaganda.
Oh, and Matt, when you said that there were people that felt enchanted with Obama, remember what Chris Matthews said, that he felt chills in between his legs after a speech Obama made?
That's crazy.
Another man saying he felt chills in between his own legs when he heard another man talk. Man, woo.
And to piggyback on Deshaun, I think one of the reasons why the media hates Trump is because they can't control him.
Right. That's exactly
they can't
why.
use him to push an
He's a
agenda.
businessman.
Where Obama was the driving force of pushing a lot of these agendas that you see going forward.
Oh man!
And because the media is a huge supporter of those agenda-driven narratives, Obama was okay with it. So they were working together. Whereas Trump, he doesn't agree with everything that these media outlets want to push. So they find that they're getting resistance, and that's why they hate him. You know, they can't control him.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if you look at the Obama administration in the news media, there was nothing you would rarely find anything negative or bad about the president. As far as when the Obama administration was there, you would always see praise and high admiration for him. And yet, some of the things in which the American people lack to see is because of the lack of reporting that goes on in the media. And I think that's one of the biggest issues when it comes to not only politics but even the administrations within office, is the perception of that administration. Like, many people don't know that um, the economy, as far as I know, is great right now. We're booming.
Right? Yeah.
And when Trump says we're going to grow the economy by 3%, it's going to go up. It's gone up. I think the numbers were, the last time that I read it was on Bloomberg Report. It was, I think it had surpassed 3%. We were at 4% growth
and
in the economy.
There's audio of President Obama saying that you'll never get above 2% anymore, and that how is Trump going to do all these things? Wave a
Magic wand, yeah.
Well, abracadabra, because Trump did it.
Abracadabra.
And with
Houdini.
With that being said, you can't have it both ways, all right? You can't say that the success we're having is attributed to the work that Barack Obama did when he was in office, when you were okay with him saying, well, how is he going to make the economy better, right? Because that doesn't make sense. So is Obama doubting what Trump was going to do, or is he now going to take credit for now that the economy is better? You can't have it both ways. Pick one. All right, just pick one. Don't give him credit when he said it wouldn't do well in the first place, and then praise him for saying that. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And stop giving Obama credit for what Trump's done either. I think that's just crazy to me. I mean, I think honestly, the Obama administration, did a well job in certain aspects as far as a positive job.
And if you think Obama helped Trump in getting the economy better, why not like Trump? Because Trump is just following what Obama set forth. Why not like him?
And why did Obama have a negative manufacturing jobs when it comes to the number of jobs gained and lost? And in the Trump administration, the manufacturing jobs have grown to a number in which people haven't seen before. They thought that this would never happen again, that companies would never come back again, that there wouldn't be jobs. We're almost at a low unemployment rate where we may need additional illegals to come into the country to fill those job rates. I mean, it's a catch-22, but our economy may get that great where we can start relaxing a little bit
Yeah,
on immigration, and I would like to see that. I would like us to be prosperous because if the president's prosperous, the middle class is prosperous, then everybody is prosperous,
Right.
and I don't see why people would disagree with that.
exactly. And I don't see why anybody would disagree with prosperity in this country and allowing the current administration to forward that prosperity, even if it came off. If you want to give Obama the credit for the growth of the economy, sure. But you've got to say that Trump has also fueled that in such a way that's cultivated a market. As far as if you're in the market, if you're an investor in the market right now, like I am, you would understand that this is the best time to be in the market.
Yeah,
And if you were in the market in 2008 when there was absolute chaos and the currency of the U.S. dollar was at, I think by the time 2010 had hit, they were saying that they would just start printing money. I think it was who was it? It was I think it was Trump's former strategic officer. I can't remember his name. His name is David, I believe. But he was speaking on an interview, and he was talking about the state of the financial union back during the Obama administration when Obama had just got into office, and this was during the recession, I believe.
yeah.
And I mean, if they had not bailed um, the market out, we would have chaos on Wall Street.
Well, there was talk at one point under the Obama administration where the OPEC nations, were thinking about not using dollar bills anymore. They were going to use euros instead because of the value of the dollar was just decreasing so much. And for the longest time, you always bought oil in American dollars. So now you don't hear those talks anymore because Trump has allowed the American economy to prosper and
Yeah.
increase the value of our money.
And if you go anywhere in the world, the U.S. dollar is the most respected currency out of anything else. So one of the things you can rest assured is that if we continue to grow the economy in the rate that we are, and just like anything else, the economy it fluctuates, and we have good years and we have bad years in many cases. But ultimately, the economy should continue to grow over time, and if we continue to do that, the U.S. currency will definitely still be respected throughout the entire world.
Yeah, it's gone down for a while now. It's
You
been
know.
going down.
But
All right,
let's get back to the scandals, man.
Yep. So let's get back on track. I will note one other thing about the media. You see, because what has happened is they've dug themselves a hole so much. They've gained so much prosperity from hating Trump. Their ratings that they have now is because of the negative feedback that they have on Trump.
Oh yeah, everybody
So it's
watch the news now.
hard. Now they're in a position in which a lot of them are beginning to fail anyways. But a lot of them realize that they'll lose a lot of their ratings or whatever they've gained if they begin to show any positivity towards the president. So they're going to continue to be hostile. But let's get back to his scandal.
Right, and this is from that the Time article. Just to remind everybody, is titled "Obama is the worst president since World War II." Poll says, written by Joan E. Grieve back in January 15th this year. So go ahead, Matt. Continue.
So the next one is called Operation Fast and Furious. So normally I don't typically care about these, and I wouldn't have blamed him so much, but I'll get into detail of why it's a scandal. So throughout the history of our nation, there's always been points and times in which we have sold arms to other nations, other factions, guerrilla groups, and that it's just been a part of our history. And what makes this a scandal is the Obama administration decided to sell thousands of guns to smugglers uh, in the Mexican drug cartels. And then their plan was that they were going to track where these guns were going to go and then find out where all these cartels are. However, they lost track of all the guns. So essentially, the Obama administration ended up pouring in thousands of guns into Mexico and other Central American nations, and then lost all accountability of those guns and where they were going. So you can't compare this to somebody like Reagan who was supplying the Contras, okay, because they had accountability. They knew what was going on.
Right,
Whereas
right.
in the Obama administration, they lost the guns and ended up fueling the Mexican drug cartels, which is bad news.
Well, I mean, we should also look at the intention of the sale of the guns too. Also, I would ask just to maybe add to what you're talking about. I mean, his intention was to track the guns in order
Right. And
to
that's why
bring down the drug
I
cartels.
stated I normally don't care about this stuff
Hmm.
because all presidents are doing stuff like this. Our nation does what's best for its security. What the scandal is that he lost the guns. That's
Right.
the scandal.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
But let's move on to the next one because again, may not be too big of a deal, but this one is a big deal, and this was the IRS abuses that was happening, where the Obama administration politicized the Internal Revenue Service and used it to successfully target political opponents. So if you were a conservative, he was using this as a tool to
Destroy your campaign.
not destroy your campaign, but go after um, high-ranking conservatives or people that were contributing maybe to the conservative party financially. He was using the IRS to attack those individuals so that their taxes would be audited, so that there would be that would fuel internal investigations, and those same things were not happening to the Democratic donors. So they were particularly um, targeting conservatives, the IRS abuses. And then when Congress tried to investigate, um, the person who was basically the fall person, her name is Lois Lerner. Um, she refused to answer any questions about what was going on. But this was something that was happening under the Obama administration. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
wow.
he got. That's how he got Dinesh D'Souza, the conservative thinker that we were talked about when Phil was on.
Yeah,
He put Dinesh D'Souza in prison for donating. I think he had exceeded. I think it was $5,000 he exceeded of a campaign contribution for a friend of his that was running for office. And I think somebody else, Dinesh says that somebody else did the same thing, and I think it was a little bit worse than what he did, and didn't get
right.
any repercussions for
Well,
it.
that seems to be the case.
And this was a time when Dinesh D'Souza was highly criticizing Obama, making movies like
yeah,
Dreams of My Father, talking about Obama's background and stuff like that. So it was a target. It was a hit job, from what I see.
and it was carefully, like you said, he politicized the IRS, and I think really, I mean, the IRS should just be there for auditing services, as far as I'm concerned. But I mean,
Right. They shouldn't be looking at anybody's political background. They
no,
shouldn't even have that information. You
no,
shouldn't
they
even know who you voted for.
no, they should not. And I think honestly that the to do that, that's a scandal within itself, like you said before, and that goes to show you how low people can get when you don't like an opposing view or opposing opponent as far as politics goes. So you won't hear that from the mainstream media, folks. You won't hear that.
Well, but wait, there's more.
There's more.
There's more. We got Benghazi,
Woo!
right? So the terrorist attacks in Libya, which
Yes.
saw the lives of a U.S. ambassador
Yeah.
and three others get taken because the State Department, under Miss Hillary, decided that she wasn't going to heed the warnings for calls for more security. So obviously ignoring something as important as that, knowing that, especially knowing that it's in an area with a lot of Muslim tension.
Right.
You would think that you would be more inclined to listen to the people there and their concerns about security there. I bet if she was there, there'd be plenty of security.
Oh,
Um, and the problem, what makes this a more of a scandal, is she denied that it was a terrorist attack.
Right.
She
Yep.
just they if you remember what ended up happening is they ended up blaming this on a video that came out, a movie.
Yeah. A video that insulted Mohammed.
Yep. And the person who directed that movie ended up getting arrested. And that was the blame. But what ended up happening, because we got a hold of her emails, Hillary Clinton admitted in her emails that this was actually a terrorist attack.
Right.
So here's another scandal that happened under the Obama administration. But let's keep saying that he never had any scandals. Now, again, I understand that
Matt is going in on. He is
It's
going
not
in on
Obama
Obama
himself, but
today.
he's the president of the United States. The buck stops with him. He has this moron.
I think Matt's got a personal vendetta against Barack Obama.
He
Man.
has this moron leading his foreign policy. I would have had that woman out a long time ago. Don't mess up my legacy. Get out of here. But
Right.
that's under his watch. You know? So
I
what do
don't
you guys
know,
think
man.
of that?
I think he should have consulted with Michael a few times before he decided. I don't think he consulted. Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle. Sorry. He should have consulted with his wife
Well, maybe
on a few decisions because I think he was a little rattled there.
maybe
Since
Michelle was
being
the
the
one who
first,
made the choice. Maybe it wasn't him.
I don't know. I think being the first quote unquote half white, half black president, I think he had
I think he
quite the.
consults. I think he consults to Michelle every time. So, yo, baby, what should I do about this? Hillary's calling me, baby. What should I do? Don't worry about it, Barack. Go get me my gym clothes. I gotta go do a workout.
Then you had the hacking that happened. You had all the warnings of Russia and China and all these other nations interfering in our elections. This all happened under Obama. Didn't happen under President Trump. So where was this guy when he was getting repeated warnings
Yeah.
of people potentially hacking the election or at least influencing the elections?
He was there.
You
And
know-
You
You
Go
know
ahead.
what happened? He thought Hillary was going to win. That's what he thought happened. So he didn't care.
That was my point. When all this was first coming out during the campaign trail, Obama would be in front of the press saying, "Oh, I told Vladimir to cut it out." Oh, he didn't seem too concerned about it. The only reason why, like you said, he didn't seem too concerned about it is because he had already banked in his mind that Hillary was going to win.
Yep.
But now that she's lost, all of a sudden it's a big deal, right?
Yep.
And he just told, at that time, he was saying, "Oh, I just told Vladimir to cut it out. Just cut it out, Vladimir. Stop hacking us." Okay.
But no scandals, right? All right, let's move on. So let's look at the Veterans Affair. All right.
Jeez, the list just keeps going, man. Jeez.
Yes.
When's it gonna end,
Because I
Matt?
know there's people that listen to this podcast that think the Veterans Affair is the best health care that you can possibly get. And I'm sure there's areas in which it's very good. And they want that same health care for the entire nation, all 300 million. So you have a system that's propped up by 98% of the population, and it barely functions. And then you want to have the whole entire population of the United States go under the same type of health care.
No, man. Healthcare in this country needs reform, certainly. And I'm all for a capitalistic market, but I'm also for reform, healthcare reform in certain aspects. And I won't get into details, but the Veterans Affair, like you said before, it's a broken system that definitely needs to be patched up in certain areas as far as healthcare for the veterans specifically, prescriptions, doctor appointments. The list goes on.
So I'm going to read this paragraph because I think it's that important. And this is just talking about one Veterans Affairs office, just one. It says, at least 40 U.S. veterans died waiting for appointments at a Phoenix VA facility. 40 people died waiting for appointments. Think of that. A
40 people?
A system that is propped up by 98% of the population. At one facility, 40 people died.
Wait. Where are you getting this from, bro? If you don't mind me asking.
This is actually, all this information is from a Wall Street Journal publication.
Wow, you can go check that out. We'll put the link in the description below, okay?
It says at least 40 U.S. veterans died waiting for appointments at a Phoenix VA facility, many of whom had been on a secret waiting list, part of an effort to conceal that between 1,400 and 1,600 veterans were forced to wait months for appointments. So they were putting these people on secret wait lists so that to try to conceal it, to try to make it seem like people weren't waiting for appointments. And a 2014 internal VA audit found 57,436 newly enrolled veterans facing a minimum 90-day wait for medical care. 90 days to wait.
Wow.
That's a long time, America.
63,869 veterans who enrolled over the past decade requesting an appointment. That never happened.
Amazing.
Wow.
But you expect me to believe that a universal healthcare system is going to be good for the American people?
No, it's not.
Even Mr. Obama admitted in November 2016 press conference that it was scandalous what happened under his administration, though minutes earlier he boasted that we will knock on wood leave this administration without significant scandal. So he didn't believe that this was significant. So our veterans are not that important, I guess. So what do you guys think of that? I got two more after this.
I
Man,
think it's ridiculous.
That's appalling, bro. That's appalling, man. I work in healthcare, man, and I mean it definitely needs reform from every level of it. But I also believe that, I mean, you're not gonna get any better than what we have here in America because other countries are modeling after what we have here. So if you just think about ours needs reform, think about everybody else's healthcare. I mean, it's probably in shambles.
There's a guy in our church who waited 5 months to get his hernia checked out in Brazil.
He's a veteran, right? No, he's in Brazil.
Yeah.
I mean, you just think about it. I mean, think about this, America. If you put every person in this country under one universal health care program, not only where is this money going to go, what is going to be the incentive for doctors? Because we have a shortage of doctors already and a shortage of nurses. What is going to be the incentive for doctors to go to med school, to go to a PhD program, and to get licensed as a doctor? There is not going to be really much incentive at that point. I mean, you look at Japan and their regulations as far as healthcare. There are hospitals on every corner in Japan, and yet doctors get paid just probably the same as much as I want to say the average shop owner there.
Yeah. Well, Japan actually has a pretty good model that we should look into.
Yeah.
Because I'll give you an example. They have this thing. I think it's called a Blue Book or something, and
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
they make it so that hospitals will only pay a certain amount of for equipment. So they'll pay $5,000 for some kind of CAT scan machine that costs $10,000 in the U.S. So a U.S. hospital will pay that 10 grand, but in Japan they'll buy it for 5 grand, and the companies gladly sell it to them. So that's something to look at too.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think really we shouldn't be attacking the insurance companies in this country because I think the insurance companies don't really ever get any flack. I think the insurance companies, I mean, they're thieves, man. That's what I call it. Like I see it, it's just a bunch of thieves, man. Just health insurance and things. It's just I can't believe the premiums that they're charging people. I think it's just thievery. I honestly believe it's thievery. I don't know what you
Well,
guys
a
think.
lot of that is just overregulation. A lot
Yeah,
of
I was
that
gonna
is.
say that. Yeah.
I think we should keep that for another episode. We can dive a little bit deeper into the healthcares because I don't just blame the health
Yeah.
insurance companies. There's a lot of red tape.
They're not allowed to function in the competitive atmosphere in its purest form. They've got a
Right,
lot of
yeah.
regulations, so they're kind of stuck in between a hard place and a rock too. So
But I wanted to keep track on the scandals of just thinking about how poorly our veterans are treated. And the fact that we can't even take care of 2% of our population.
And you're a veteran too, right, Matt?
Yes.
and that's amazing because some of these facts I didn't even know some of these scandals, and that just goes to show you how you can just easily get brainwashed by the media because they can hype up this guy and make him seem like the best thing since sliced bread. And if you're not a free thinker and think for yourself and dig deep, you won't know any of this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, they
Right.
turned the president into a rock star.
Right.
People did not look at the president like they look at it today.
Yeah.
It was a much more professional nature, but for some reason under President Obama, he shot up into like this rock star atmosphere where he was a celebrity.
They showed him hanging out with celebrities, sports stars, hanging out, doing stuff, shooting hoops, smoking weed, all this stuff, and they made him look cool. And you totally miss all the hardcore facts behind his legacy. And the same could be said about Trump and the other spectrum. You could just be triggered by the media, and just as soon as you hear the name Trump, you just feel like he's a racist. You just feel like all these things. And then if you look deep into his administration, what he's doing, you're like, wow, okay, this guy's actually working hard
Yeah.
and doing
I
stuff.
mean, the guy gets praised for nothing. I mean, he just introduced a bill that allows veterans to seek outside treatment and still get it covered. So if a veteran has to wait 40 days to see a doctor, they can say no, I'm going to go see my regular doctor and get seen right away, and the government will still pay for it. So that's an easy fix to this problem that was happening under the Obama and previous administrations. The other thing he doesn't get credit for, he signed into law the what was that, the Step Act, the new Step Act, where it allows criminals that were reformed to integrate back into society.
Yep, I see
Yeah.
that.
These are things that people don't give him any praise for. First time in 60 years that drug prescription prices have gone down was because of President Trump negotiating price deals, going to the pharmaceutical CEOs and say, "Hey, what's going on here? Let's do something about this. Let's reach a deal." This is a president that is fighting for all Americans, yet gets no praise at all. Yeah, does he do stupid things? Does he say stupid things? He does. But in the grand scheme of things, he truly has the American interest at heart.
And he's getting things done. He's actually delivering.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, one of the reasons why Trump says the stuff that he says is because he's an unconventional president. And he's coming from a world where he understands, having been in the celebrity world himself, he understands how the media works.
Yeah.
So in order for him to function and actually do a good job and strike back or be successful in this media climate we have, he has to say those things. I bet you if you really sat down with him, he's probably a real serious guy and he talks to you in a real serious way.
Yep.
He's not an idiot like they would make him seem to be. He does a lot of that stuff because he knows how the media world works. That's it.
Yeah, you think about it, he had his own show at one time. You think about Trump before presidency, he was actually in media. He was not only with his own company, but with his own TV show. So he knows how to rattle the media.
He's
he knows
a
how to get the
marketing-
media attention. He knows how to get the attention.
He's a marketing genius. And think about it, right? You're saying, oh, Lavaldo, well, how do you know? He's an idiot. He just says dumb stuff. Think about it. You might not even like him. Guess what? You've been more interested in politics since you've ever been because of one president, one man's presidential administration. That's
Right.
Donald Trump.
Yep.
Just keep that in mind when you say that. You wouldn't be interested if it wasn't for his marketing genius that he has. You wouldn't be.
So two more things, and then I'll end my portion. So the other things that President Obama did that was scandalous is how secretive he was. Backdoor dealings that he was doing behind Congress' door. One of them was the illegal swap of prisoners.
Yes.
Now, I want to make it clear that Trump has brought home Americans without giving up one single prisoner, without having to pay somebody. Yet this
Right.
president, some reason, found the need to swap terrorists for one deserter, who ended up going on trial and get court-martialed anyways. Then he found the need to go behind Congress back and shipped pallets
Yes.
of cash to Iran for them to accept the deal. Really? Are we that weak that we have to force Iran to accept a shady deal that was never good for our end anyways? You that bad at negotiating that you have to prop them up with an additional $1.5 billion?
And
nobody cares.
we would have never known about it if it wasn't
Nope.
for that reporter. I can't remember his name. That actually was doing his job and to investigate. If it wasn't for that report, we would have never known about it. It would have just
Yep.
been done because it was done in the middle of the night.
Isn't it funny? We can find $1.5 billion to give to terrorists, but we can't find money to secure our border?
Right.
Isn't it funny we got $1.5 billion to give to terrorists, but we can't take care of our veterans?
Exactly.
But this guy never had a scandal.
Wow, man. The rampage has just ended, guys. I mean, I am fully aware of the media's perception of the past administration and how they have absolutely manipulated the minds of the American mainstream responders. There are some Americans out there who do get their news from other outlets and try to actually dig up the facts, but I'm talking to the Americans who certainly don't have the time or just don't actually care as far as the politics. Don't hear everything you read in the newspapers because sometimes they're biased, and we all know that today. And if you're going to bring up the Trump administration and give the Trump administration flack for anything that might occurred. If you're a Christian or anybody out there, you have to realize that if you're going to talk about one administration, let's bring up the facts about another, because just like anybody else, every administration has their problems, has their mistakes. Let's not hide them.
Exactly.
I do have one thing left to say. I'm going to read one more paragraph. And now I want you to keep in mind this is from the Wall Street Journal, another left wing media outlet. It says the president's journalistic allies are happily echoing the scandal free myth. Times Joe Klein claims Mr. Obama has had absolutely no hint of scandal in his presidency. The media's failure to cover the Obama administration critically has been a scandal in itself, but at least the president can't be blamed for that one.
Right. And that's the WPOAT, the worst president of all time, folks. And this was, like I said, an article it was based off an article we saw in Time, which is surprisingly because it's left wing, written by Joni Grieve.
And I think, sorry to cut you off, Follow, but I think we should have a part 2 of this because we just talked about the scandals. We didn't even talk about the division that he caused in this nation.
Right.
We didn't even talk about the failed healthcare policies that he forced down our throats. You know, and any of the other things that has happened under his administration.
Yep.
Yeah, and a lot of times you don't see the true effects of a leader's presence or work till years later, and people are starting to realize, because this poll goes and the poll that this article was based on is the Quinnipiac poll, and the article reads that on Wednesday they found out that 33% of Americans see Obama as the worst post-war president, while just 8% consider him the best. And the other presidents that ranked, below him were George W. Bush and Nixon as the worst president. And then 45% of Americans think that Mitt Romney would have been better off for the country if he had been elected in 2012, right? And the effects of a president you don't see till sometime afterwards. Everybody thought he was great when he was in office, the image he had and the stuff that he was doing. But now that, things are happening, you finally see that maybe this guy wasn't as good as what we thought. So
we didn't even talk about the biggest scandal, him spying on a presidential candidate.
Exactly.
He makes Richard Nixon look like the nicest guy in the world.
Amen. Yeah.
Well, all right, Pip Nation, that's the end of this latest installment of the Politically Incorrect podcast. To my fellow co-hosts, Evaldo and Matt, we thank you for tuning in. Those subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Politically Incorrect Pod on YouTube, and leave a comment, and if you want to email us with the Politically Incorrect Podcast at gmail.com.
Later, guys.